Is that great? Is that Gabe's girl?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is GIMI Productions on the track.
Just gonna send out a quick tweet.
Hi, I'm watching the stream just in case.
Productions exclusive.
Oh, can you monitor the stream? Like chat with people if they come in?
Ooh. I don't want to chat though.
Oh, I need somebody to chat.
Keep an eye on it.
You on the gig?
I'll keep an eye on it, yeah.
All right, thanks, my man. About to go live.
We got 5 views.
This is GIMI Productions.
Welcome everybody, this is CaseStudyQB and we are the Political Junkies and we are in here and there is a lot of news to talk about. We got the new president-elect Joseph Biden and the question is, can he be a good president or is he going to be the FDR president that everyone, including Bernie, made him out to be? We don't know, but we're going to discuss it. And the main news was just the moderates just blaming progressives all week for their feelings. So we're going to talk about it. Let me introduce my guys. We got Carlito, we got John, we got Gabe, we got Felipe. We are the Political Junkies. Political Junkies, including yourself. If you listen to this, we're going to save the world. All right. Anybody got anything, any opening statements?
We need ranked choice voting.
Ranked choice voting, baby. I
We
agree
were
with you.
all wrong. All of us were wrong.
Yeah,
About
for
what?
sure. But you know what? I am more calm than I have felt in 4 years.
Yeah.
Even just now, even just seeing the headlines. Oh my God.
You know what?
They don't
though?
care about Trump anymore. And my heart is so happy.
You know
Oh
what?
man,
though?
I did predict that there was gonna be no red mirage, so I
Okay.
was right about that.
You
I
were
was
right.
It
wrong
was
about
kind of a red mirage.
Not really. The electoral votes, Biden was always up.
But you know what? I cheated because I didn't even put that clip up. I was going through it and I was editing it and I thought that it would be horrendous if we put out these predictions. So I cheated.
Prediction.
Yeah, it was absolutely horrendous. Go ahead, John.
Well, before we get started into the political stuff, you know, everyone out there is Movember. You know, it's just awareness month for all the men out there. You guys know that 1 out of 9 U.S. men get diagnosed with prostate cancer. So please take care of yourself and look out there and make sure that we diagnose ourselves early and always check yourself for the doctors.
Wait a minute. Oh, okay. I'm not diagnosing myself.
No,
I let the doctor do it.
Okay. The doctor do it. Yeah.
All right, we gonna get into the political stuff, and basically the first thing I want to talk about is this. Let me jump over to it right now, and as of right now, live. This is the 9th, and it's 8:34 p.m. and this is the Alaska U.S. Senate. They only have, 58% reported. Now the election was last Tuesday, right? And this is now Monday, and they're only at 58%. Alaska, what's going on? Alaska.
They got it. It's because they
It's
got to.
Alaska.
They got to go by Pony Express
to
get the votes in.
And
Bro,
the reason,
a moose ran into the polling center.
the
Alaska
reason,
told Nevada, hold my beer.
The reason why I bring this up though is because this is a pivotal race where even though it says 62% for the Republican, 32% for the Democrat, you know, everyone has their sights on Georgia because there's 2 Senates rightfully, and they have a runoff. But this hasn't been called yet, and from what Al Gross is saying, he could just be, you know, blowing smoke up everyone's behinds, but he's saying that he believes he's going to win once the rest of the counts come in. But from what I understand, though, they are going to start back counting tomorrow. I don't know why they're waiting so long, and it's crazy. Go ahead, John.
I think they received some votes, and it was about like 191,000, and a lot of them going to Trump. So you know, nobody's really asking to recount those. So all those mail-in ballots that they actually got were in favor of Trump. And nobody's, you know, they're not claiming fraud on there. It's funny that, you know, there's no fraud in Alaska.
There's no fraud in Alaska.
You know what the funniest bit about the fraud is? Everyone, it's all fraud to get the president, but all those people, they had to mix in some down ballot Republicans just to make the fraud feel real. You know, Democrats were like, let's take power away from Trump, but nah. Let's lose the Senate. That'll get people on their toes.
Yeah. What kind of weak fraud is that?
The last thing I'm going to say about this is I was listening to the Idiots. What's that show with Katie Alper and Matt Taibbi? The Useful Idiots. And basically, Glenn Greenwald was on there, and he talked about the Brazilian process. And basically, he said at 6 p.m. they stop voting in Brazil. That's the polls close, and as soon as 6 p.m. hits, they have 90% reporting because they start counting before. I think the day before they count before that. So as soon as 6 p.m. hits, boom, they got 90%. And then it only takes 2 more hours, and they have the 100% reported. And this is Brazil, a country with not the same amount of money that America has. You know, we're the wealthiest country in the world, and they're able to figure this out. Now, the population, because they have their electorate, their citizens can start voting from 16 years old. If you count all of those people, they have about the same amount of people that votes, and they have it down pat. I'm sure they do paper system as well. So we got to figure something out. All right.
Yeah, I mean, the mail-in ballots, I'm sure they don't have the same issue with mail-in ballots, though. And the thing with the states here also, as far as the mail-in ballots, is that it varies by state. Some of them could count right away. Some of them you could count the day of you could start. Some of them you got to wait until the polls actually close before you could start counting them. So
I hear
it's
a
big mismatch.
My thing is, like, you know, like it took Florida 20 years to get it right, but you know they did it. If you look if you want to look at it, you know, Florida starts 5 weeks in advance. So if they want to look at an example of like a state that really messed it up and a state that finally got it together, they could look at Florida. But the thing is, like we always talk about, all these states that are taking longer and they claiming all these issues are Republican-run states, and it's Republicans governors. So if they have problems with it, they should take it with their own party.
So, I don't know if you know this question about Brazil or the answer to this, but it's like every jurisdiction the same rules, like because over here every state basically runs their own system.
Yeah, that's a good question, but I think because Glenn talked in such generality, if that's a word, I think that's probably what it is. They do it across the nation of Brazil that same way, and I agree with you, Carlito. Like for this election, we probably had a whole bunch of issues because of COVID, but I think moving forward, we have to have at least some kind of standardization. Like maybe the count. Florida did get it right. You're right, John. They start counting like a day before or sometime before the actual election day. And I think that's maybe something that we should do. 50 states, like certain standards, start counting before. You have the same checks and balances so that we don't have any fraud, or we make sure that we have body cams of people watching. We have both the parties, all parties involved, Republican, Libertarian, Democrat, have poll watchers at every poll, and get it done, right?
Yeah.
In case, you mentioned some standardization. I wanted to ask everybody, what are your thoughts on coming up with like an agency that's like the national standards of voting, where all states would follow this like set standard, whether it's everyone allows mail-in ballots and it's up to like kind of take like whatever the best system is and roll it out across the boards. What are people's thoughts on that?
I mean, we have the Federal Election Commission already, so they could take that on. The problem that I see is that, you know, specifically some red states, they're gonna start saying states' rights, but you know, for that, I would say, well, do whatever you want for your state elections, but make it standardized for the federal ones.
I would point to the Civil Rights Act real quick, Felipe, that recently we had the Supreme Court that struck down the fact that if they made any major changes, certain states that were known for voter suppression back in the day, in the Civil Rights Act, they made it a requirement that if they made any changes, they had to go to the federal government first. And that prevented a lot of the suppression that we now see since the Supreme Court struck that part of the act down. So I think that if that was put in place to keep a check on the states, I think something like that could probably be put back into play. Go ahead, Felipe.
See, I was going to say, that's a fantastic idea. Great for democracy, great for turnout, and that's why it'll never happen. Do you think that making voting easier is something that Republicans want? I mean, really? Even this election that showed increased turnout is good for Republicans. Look at Florida. Increased turnout can be good for Republicans. They don't care. If you make voting super easy, Mississippi is the blackest state in the United States of America. Look at Georgia. If they make voting as easy as it should be, states like that will flip left and right. But in this messed up system, in this slow bureaucracy of voting and states being able to pick and choose, that's their bread and butter. They love making things complicated just so that they can be like, oh no, oh sorry, it's a little hard. You just shouldn't vote. And then Republicans just vote. That's why. There's no other reason. There's no real argument against it besides more people will vote and Republicans don't want that.
Yeah, so we definitely need to take on this issue more seriously, and we have to come up with a solution. I personally, we talked about this in the last show, in the last clip, that I want all mail-in ballots, have a FedEx-like tracking system, have a very robust, body cameras on the people counting it, a way to secure the vote. And we need to get that resolved. So, all right, let's move on to the next.
I was about to say, don't the ballots already have a QR code and some other crap?
Case, before you move on, I do wanna touch on the fact that the USPS expedited a bunch of mail-in ballots without scanning them, just to get them sent faster, which made it so that a lot of people couldn't actually track their ballot. But in Florida, you can check the status of your mail-in ballot as soon as you drop it off or send it, and have almost a 1 to 2 day turnaround time on having dropped it off or mailed it.
I heard California has something like that as well. We just, like Gabe said, if we could find a way to standardize basic things, like we don't have to standardize everything, but I think there should be basic requirements. All right, going to move on, and I'm going to bring up this clip. Go. Start this from the beginning.
I'm assuming you were probably on the call with the Democratic members from Congress the other day. There have been reports that it got quite contentious. Do you see this now turning into a internal fight within the party in terms of whose voices need to be more dominant, whether it's the AOC Bernie Sanders wing of the party or the more moderate wing of the party, the more conservative wing of the party? What kind of a reckoning do you think takes place, and how do you think Nancy Pelosi will manage it?
The way she's been managing it from the center.
Losing.
And the people that were elected that kept their seats are centrists. There's no question in my mind about that. You cannot accuse 3 or 4 people of turning over these seats. At the end of the day, it was far more complex than that. And some of it is our ability to message correctly and to validate, but a lot of it is going to be policy from my point of view. And we've got to demonstrate that at the end of 4 years or the end of 2 years that we've been tougher and we've delivered on these issues that people care about. And, you know, this anti-communism, anti-socialism is deep in our community. But my argument is that Donald Trump hasn't delivered on any of that. He just said it and scared people, and that Joe Biden has an opportunity he can start by.
I love getting advice from losers. That's the best kind of advice, is when the losers come in and they tell you what you're doing wrong. You ever had a friend like that like their life is not going so well, and maybe they aren't getting good grades in school, their job's not, they never got a good job, they never got a nice car, and they always want to tell you what you're doing wrong. That's what I feel like right now. We're looking at Shalala, and we've seen, for those who don't know, Donna Shalala is the former Democratic representative for my home district, Florida 27. And I've been very critical of her on the podcast substantially, and talked about how she probably should have never been in that position in the first place. She only got into the position not because she was popular, but because of a lack of ranked choice voting. 67% of the people voted against her, and she was just able to squeak out just because there were so many candidates. And when you look at her, what she's talking about is substantially, is factually, it's quantifiably false. You can see that the people that did win were not centrist. You saw that people that backed Medicare for all in candidates in the House of Representatives, they won overwhelmingly. And the ones that lost were the ones who tried to be more centrist. So, and you also see one thing that has held true for another election, and it was something we've talked about also in past episodes, is that America is progressive. Across the nation this cycle, we saw ballot measures that passed around legalizing drugs, legalizing marijuana for individual use. In Florida, bright red Florida, we saw a $15 minimum wage pass. Not only that, it's not just a $15 minimum wage, it's a $15 minimum wage tied to inflation. So once it reaches the $15, it's going to continue to rise with inflation without needing an additional vote. It's the perfect minimum wage increase that we've always talked about as progressives. So by seeing these ballot measures pass across the country, and then you see people don't like centrists, people don't like people that just try to be, you know, they try to play both sides. They want people that are going to be for policies that help the working class and people that really need it, that make the majority of the country.
Yeah, totally. And I want to show this clip from Waleed Shahid. He's with the Justice Democrats, where he shows vote share for House Democrats actually declined in swing districts as candidates adopted more conservative views. So I'm going to show, basically there was a big conference call that blew up on in the mainstream media from one of the congressmen. I believe her name was Abigail. I forgot her last name, but she was basically complaining about, you know, socialism and the fact that, you know, all the progressives were the ones that totally did not do a good job in keeping their seats. But AOC talked about this same thing, same situation. She talked about how she offered her help to try to help many of these swing state people, but they didn't reach out for her help. And a lot of the other progressive Democrats like Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib, they use their grassroots support to help pretty much deliver. For example, Michigan was delivered to Joe Biden, while you had John Kasich, who
Minnesota,
everyone made a big deal out of it. Ohio still went to Trump. So if you look at the data, at every metric, it was the progressives that helped out the moderates and Joe Biden win.
Hey, Carlitos, you want to talk about the Emma Vigeland tweet that you sent out to us earlier?
What? Which one?
The tweet about the 27 districts. So Carlitos, he doesn't remember, but he sent out a tweet to our group just saying that there were 27 toss-up districts. This is a tweet from Emma Vigeland, formerly of TYT, and that the Republicans won 25 out of the 27 toss-up districts. So if you don't see that centrism doesn't work, that's a perfect example.
Gotcha. I think I know what you're talking about. I'm gonna bring up that tweet, but until I bring that up, I just want to show this one more. Shout out to Gabe's old representative. So this is from David Sirota. First of all, that video blew up. It got over 100,000 views. It really blew up. And David Sirota said, as HHS secretary, she blocked Americans from purchasing lower price meds from Canada. Then as Congresswoman laughed at Florida voters who want lower price medicine, then got thrown out of Congress, and now goes on TV to berate progressives. Like, it's in Florida, you have a big old people community where they need their medicines, and you're supposed to be representing them, and she's the one not allowing them to have cheaper drugs.
Yeah, but we also know that Florida is famous for voting against their own interests.
Felipe, what you got to say about this situation?
I don't know. I mean, it's very clear that no one wants a blasé, like, watered down soda candidate. People want, for the youth vote, like for the youth people watching, people want that McDonald's Sprite, crisp and fresh and cold. No one wants warm soda that you put ice in and it's now half water. Like, people want what they want, and they don't want to compromise. They don't want to moderate themselves, which very, very clearly explains why a lot of very boring candidates lost their elections.
Yeah, Georgia does a lot of things wrong, but at least one thing that it wouldn't have happened as it did for Gabe is that over here, if you don't get 50% plus one, you go into a runoff. So at least that's better, not for the presidential election, but for other lower races. That's why we're going to have 2 Senate runoffs coming up January 5th.
I think this is the tweet that you were talking about, Gabe, right? This is an iteration of it, and I'm not sure. You see it, Gabe?
Yep.
All right. So basically, this tweet talks about those who supported Medicare for all, who won election, and then how blue or red their district was. And as you can see, everyone who who were for Medicare for all, Katie Porter, she won. And that's the swing district. It was a +3. And Matt Cartwright, he won. Then you have Max Rose, he did not win. Mike Levin, Pete DeFazio, pretty much everyone who supported Medicare for all won their re-election. So obviously, if anyone was to look at the data, they would know, okay, we need to start supporting more progressive policy and boastfully promote it, because Biden, he was for $15 a minimum wage because of Bernie Sanders pushing him in that direction, but he didn't promote it. And apparently the Florida Democrats thought that it would be a hindrance, or it would be, a hindrance to his election in Florida. And as we could see, that won 60% or over 60%, getting $15 an hour, and Joe Biden lost Florida.
This is how you know. This is how you know if you have a good leadership. Right, so the first thing that Nancy Pelosi did was blame the left. Right, typically a good leader will look at themselves and said, "Where did we go wrong? What was our message? What can we do differently?" But she just went in and be like, "Well, defund the police and socialism caused all of our race," which is completely inaccurate.
That wasn't Nancy Pelosi. That was Spansberger. Nancy Pelosi actually rebuked that and said that Democrats have a mandate to not moderate.
Yeah, I didn't hear anything from Nancy Pelosi myself. I didn't hear anything directly.
She was blaming the left.
Tweet in the chat, but there was one specific representative that said that socialism and defund the police almost cost her campaign. And Nancy Pelosi rebuked that and said that Democrats now have a mandate after having kicked out Trump. So
here's another,
not quite.
Here's another case in Maine, 2nd Congressional District, right? So Joe Biden and Sarah Gideon, they were against the defund police attack they were against Medicare for all. They did not accept AOC's help, and they did not win in Maine, right? Then you had Jared Golden, who was for Medicare for all, did accept AOC's help, and he actually won. So I really hope that, and I'm glad that AOC, Jamal Bowman, I saw Ilhan Omar, they were all in the mainstream media and they were able to fight back this rhetoric. And that's one of the good things about having popular progressives, is that you have people that not only are popular that these mainstream medias will reach out to, but they also can articulate the right things to say, and without being too combative. I think you have to walk a tightrope when it comes to politics, and I think they did a great job when I saw them.
You know, one of the things that I read about, you know, the whole socialism stuff in Florida, especially with the Cubans, was that first of all, Trump really outspent Biden there. So he kind of ignored a large part of the Latino population there. And second, the Republican Party has been around doing groundwork for a long time there, while the Democrats haven't as much. And that's one reason why, you know, it's not necessarily that it sticks, but they're the ones that they listen to. You know, they're saying that whenever the immigrants are coming in, they need the citizenship papers filled out and things like that. It's the Republican Party that's helping them. So they have that relationship, you know, and not to mention, you know, the older people generation that still have that connection. So it's not all about the whatever AOC is saying in New York. It's what's happening on the ground locally, and who are the people that are talking to the voters there.
I wanna combat what you're saying a little bit, and I want to point out that a lot of the distaste that Cubans have for Democrats dates all the way back to the Bay of Pigs, way back when a lot of Cubans lost their lives expecting support from the United States, from which the Democrats were in power, and were completely abandoned. And ever since then, that has left a really bad taste in their mouth, leading all the way to today, to people who have full life experience of how bad life can be under socialism. So the fact that one side is very, very against and just nonstop attacking socialism as a brand, as an ideology, whereas the other side is okay, somewhat flirting with the idea, that enough is a turnoff for people who have spent any portion of their lives in Cuba and had to flee.
There's nobody flirting with the idea. Come on, it's all about the messaging. They call, like, you know, they're saying in the comments over here, my man Cole, they're saying they're going to call him socialist anyway. Biden, we know Biden is the farthest thing away from socialist, yet they tarred him with the same label. So it's not that they are or flirting or anything. It's that Republicans are going to say what they're going to say, and the Democrats are weak at messaging and not good enough at marketing, but because they really got nothing to stand for, you know, nothing to run for. So or nothing to run on. So, you know, that's what difference is. It's not that they are flirting with socialism or anything. It's that they're just weak at the narrative. They don't know how to control how they are defined by others.
I disagree with that, because the whole thing about the Big Tent idea that the Democrats have, the whole Big Tent thing is that, oh, look, we have a bunch of people with a bunch of ideologies. If the Democrats were a restaurant, they'd be the cheesecake with the menu that goes from fajitas to salads to Thai wraps to pasta. Like, and the inside looks like a golden mosque. Democrats try to fit a watered down version of all these ideologies, to the point that, yes, there are people under the name Democrat that flirt with the idea of socialism, or they flirt with socialist policies. But I think the real issue is calling them socialist policies and calling themselves socialists. If Bernie Sanders didn't label himself a socialist back in 2016, when the progressive wing of the Democrats got a huge boost, I think they could have gotten a lot more done, or even just that, they could have gotten a lot more presence.
It's not because of Bernie Sanders. It's because everybody, even on their own tent, are attacking them. So if the Democrats would just stick to a message, even if you don't want to call it, but if they were they're not even for Medicare for all, even if you don't call it that, even if you don't say the name socialism, they're not for it. We just saw how Donna Shalala, whatever, she voted against importing drugs from Canada to help out the people in the United States. So it's not about that they got this big bad brand that everybody hates. Is that the people that do hate it are the people that got something to gain from not providing healthcare to people that are tied to the health insurance industries, and that goes on both parties. So you have the corporatists in the Republican Party, which is all of them. You got the corporates in the Democratic Party, which is a whole bunch of them, and then you got the corporate media, and they're all ganging up on them. So that's why.
Yeah, and and everybody that understands politics know that Biden been around for 47 years. And all of a sudden, so if you know Biden's record is not even close to anything related to socialism. At the end of the day, is that people are going to believe whatever the Republicans, like Carlito said, it's all about messaging. They're going to believe whatever messaging the Republicans going to say. You have people talking about that Biden's going to raise their taxes 64% to over 400,000 and all these crazy numbers. It's whatever the Republicans are putting out there, and it works. Their message works. So if you look at Biden history, Biden is a Republican with a D next to his name.
Yeah, I went back in time and I looked back at 2008 and when that election was going on, and the article that I read said that a week before the election between Romney, I believe it was Romney and Obama, they ran ads in Florida for just a week, right? And about him being a socialist specifically. And I was trying to find that ad. That ad was on YouTube, but they made it private, or they took it down or whatever. Because I was curious how serious it was, how much they attacked him with it. But what I was curious to find was that they only did it for a week, where Trump did it he was in Florida before Biden was in Florida. So that's where it comes to, I agree with Carlito when it comes to messaging. When it comes to politics, when I'm learning from the Progressive War Room and talking to different people and learning about the strategy, you want to define your opponent before your opponent is defined. And that's one thing that Trump did in Florida. And you guys remember that Biden had a strategy, or his campaign had a strategy that they said was not going through the Latino, community. Like they were basically saying they don't think they need the Latino vote for their strategy to win. And
he specifically said that,
exactly,
which was completely inaccurate.
To win Florida, at least it was totally inaccurate. So I'm going to button up
they
this
needed
conversation. Go ahead.
They needed it in Arizona, but it wasn't the Biden campaign doing the work over there. It was different organizations.
Yeah.
One particularly or a few that were working with Bernie's former head for the Latino outreach, something Rocha's last name.
Chuck Rocha. Yeah.
Yeah. So he was doing that. So after, even with everything they were saying about Bernie, they went all in trying to help out Biden win just because they didn't want Trump in. So it's just everything that's going on right now is just a slap in the face, which, I expected. So we're back to normal.
Yeah. And by the way, just to let you know, Chuck Rocha, I know a lot of people identify him as the Latino outreach, but he was actually running the campaign. Like, I heard him say that when he had an interview with Katie Halper. A lot of people just assumed he was specifically for Latino outreach. He was like, that's something that a lot of people, that Bernie didn't get a lot of credit for. He put a lot of minorities, a lot of women at the head of the departments of his campaign. And we're going to wrap this up with this last clip from our guy, Jamal Bowman.
Jamal Bowman is a congressman-elect from New York City. He defeated the incumbent, Elliot Engel, in a July primary and is now the projected winner from the general election on Tuesday. Congressman-elect, congratulations. First, let's start there.
Thank you. Thank you so much, John. Great to be with you.
You're going to come to this city where I work, Washington, and you're going to instantly be put in the middle of a family, right? It's like a big Thanksgiving dinner, and everybody gets together, and you're a family, and occasionally, as the turkey gets heads, people get fights. I want you to listen here. One of your new colleagues will be Abigail Spanberger. She's a moderate and a centrist from a district that President Trump had carried before. She won re-election, but a couple of her centrist friends lost, and she's not happy, and she blames progressives. Listen.
Not only did we not win the Senate, but we lost House seats that we shouldn't have lost, in my opinion. Great members who were focused on the issues that matter to people and had voted on issues that matter to people. And what I expressed to my colleagues is this is a place where we need to do an after-action report about how we thought what would happen was so different from, in fact, what did happen.
She says one of the problems is Democrats who push for defunding police. One of the problems is Democrats who identify as Democratic socialists. Do you agree?
I disagree. You have to run your race in your district in response to the needs of the people in your district.
Yes.
And if you're responding to their needs, and if you're building relationships and making connections and doing everything you have to do, then you should be able to win your race. This is about deep, authentic relationships. This is about transformational politics. And I disagree that someone running on a different platform hundreds of miles away is going to impact what happens in a particular race. So
perfect. I love what he said. That's what I'm talking about. That's the type of rhetoric that we need, that I want to see propagated in mainstream media. Go ahead.
I think a lot of Democrats. Go for it. I'll go after.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, they didn't, it goes back to what Messer was saying earlier, which I misspoke about Nancy. It's like they don't look at themselves and say, like, like we didn't pass a stimulus bill. There's people out there waiting, Instead of like saying, let's work with Trump, they were like, we're not going to give Trump a win, so we're not going to do a stimulus bill. And now people have been, 7-8 months waiting for help. So maybe those people in those districts were like, you're not doing anything for us, so we're just going to put someone else in.
What happens if they don't win the Senate in January? Are they going to even ever get another stimulus bill out? It's very unlikely.
I think so.
You're not gonna.
I think they will, because
real
quick, Felipe, and then I'm gonna let you go. I think they will because the business community is asking for it. And remember, with the CARES Act, the business community, Wall Street, they definitely wanted that first stimulus, and that's why that was the time to get a UBI, a Medicare for all, during the stimulus, during COVID, and the Democrats did not get that done. But I think at this point, everyone knows, including Wall Street, that they need a new stimulus, and now is the time. This would be the time to push some sort of progressive, either UBI, I don't know if we will get it done, or some kind of, even a public option at the very least. This stimulus coming up would be the time to do it.
But Mitch McConnell already said that they don't need another stimulus. So if Mitch McConnell has the Senate, well, he's just not going to push through it. He's going to have majority. So he already won re-election.
He said that recently,
and he already had a chance, but all he did was trying to push through and qualify Supreme Court justice and then go on vacation right after. He could have stayed and done something then, but no, he just went on recess right after ramming somebody that doesn't even know what the First Amendment entails.
Felipe, last person.
Oh, okay. So I had a lot to say going back to Spansberger. She, for just a regular representative, she acts like she's some big shot. I don't think she realizes that she speaks for just the people in her district. I think a lot of Democrats don't. They like to think of themselves as, oh, I'm big, strong, I'm a Democrat, but they speak for the people in their district. And I think they get in way above their head. They get lost in the sauce, and they don't realize that they're not doing it for their people. But moving on from that, I think Mitch McConnell will more than likely agree to pass some sort of stimulus bill, just because he will do it.
Not unless if he gets what he wants. He already talking about not having progressive candidates on the cabinet, so he's going to be like, I agree to this stimulus bill, but this is the people I want in your cabinet. This is the people you're going to nominate. If not,
you know what Joe Biden can do? He can have an acting cabinet, pull a full-on Donald Trump, and just have people acting chief of staff, acting treasury secretary, and just not have them confirmed.
I'll give him a lot of credit if he does that.
Because Joe Biden is so strong, and the Democrats,
Joe Biden came in speaking about working with Republicans. That was his number one thing. Bipartisanship, and we all know when it comes with these kind of centrists, bipartisanship means getting together to screw the people. Okay. All so right. they agree on screwing us. That's when they have bipartisanship.
All right. So we're gonna move on to the next topic, and I want to know: has anyone here ever heard of Yvette Simpson? Anybody? Okay. So this is gonna be a new segment called Elite Whisperers, and Yvette Simpson is an elite whisperer. What is an elite whisperer? I made up this term. Think of the term dog whisperer, right? And it was a show about a guy that know how to train dogs and communicate with dogs, basically. And to me, an elite whisperer is somebody who's in mainstream media, and we don't know how they got there. Is like a progressive, is a unicorn, a progressive who's on mainstream media on a regular basis, and they're able to spit truth on some level without getting kicked out. Because, you know, certain people, they spit truth one time. Like, I don't see Nina Turner on CNN anymore. You know, they kicked them out. But let me show the first video, and then we're going to continue.
Yeah, I know her. She spits hot fire.
Hot fire, baby.
Oh, somebody.
Structure. Yvette Simpson, you come from the progressive wing of the Democratic Party. Is every side going to have to give a little?
I think certain sides have given a lot, you know, and I think the question is, how much more do we need to give? You know, I always say this, unity is great, but freedom is better. And there's a part of this population that has sacrificed their freedom time and time again for unity. And they're tired of it. Yes, we want to have compromise. Yes, we want bipartisanship. But it shouldn't cost people wages and health care and education. And so if you're asking us to come together, and that means that my world doesn't change, the people whose world needs to change doesn't change, I don't want that kind of unity. I want the kind of unity that leads to change for people who have waited for it. And if this pandemic hasn't showed us that we need to serve people first, and that needs to be a unifying message. The Republicans need to be on board with actually taking care of people. If we can unify around that, I'm all for it. But if that means that we're going to compromise and we're going to continue to serve the 1%, the people who we have always served, that's not the kind of unity we need right now.
Yvette, go ahead, Rob.
Yeah, they definitely going to start taking her off because she I mean, she speak way too much truth, and they're going to get to her and they're going to be like, hey, this, she's going to be like Nina. People are going to start thinking and hearing this, and it's not going to be good for us. So, but it's true. Like, I just don't understand how is it that every time there's a Democratic president, we always have to talk about bipartisan. We always have to talk about coming together. You always have to talk about, like, when you look at all these, like, Trumpers, they always like, oh, yeah, we need to come together. This is America and all of, But in 2016, they were like, if you don't like it, leave the country. Get out of this. So everything is completely the opposite. So every time it's like, why is it that the left and the people are always the one that have to, like, give something up? Like, why can't it be the Republican and coming in and saying, you know what? We're willing to do this because this is going to be better for every American out there. But it's always the Democrats that's like working across the aisle.
Yeah, man.
I know those Republicans don't exist anymore. The Republican Party is in fact just a cult of personality after Donald Trump. At this point in time, there does not exist a single genuine Republican. Even going down to this guy Mitt Romney. Do you think he really genuinely cares? No. He doesn't.
No, the Republicans are moderate Democrats. Those are the new Republicans. Just like Obama said himself, if it was, in the 1980s, he would have been a moderate, regular Republican himself, that he admitted it. So, no, that's something that I always talk about is the overturn window. We have people, just crazy people in the Tea Party that say and threaten the most outlandish things. So then the term moderate, it becomes something between normal and crazy, and everything goes to the right.
Yeah,
so
totally.
That's what we gotta do. Like every time everybody says something about defund the police, defund the police. Not gonna eliminate all police or whatever. But if you think so, I really don't care, because then you're gonna think we're crazy too. And then when it's time to have real negotiations, then we could have something that really resembles bipartisanship and not just doing whatever somebody on the right wants, because it's not as it's not as crazy as the craziest member of their party.
So I got another clip for you guys. Let me show that one, but just to let you know, that last one got 1.1 million the last time I checked. So that one caught fire. Here's one more from me. From CaseStudyQB.
Polls will, of course, depend on those two special elections in Georgia on January 5th. This election also the culmination on the Democratic side of 4 years of activism.
Absolutely, and I think we need to continue that. I think this is a great time for the Democratic Party to hit the reset button. Like, let's go back to our roots. Organizing is our foundation. Remember the big wave of 2008 that came from a strong organizing foundation built by Barack Obama? Let's continue to build on that. Let's talk to our voters consistently. Let's, as President-elect said last night, let's make real the promises that we have made to the base of the party who has been with us, who showed up through a pandemic. Let's make sure that we recognize that before we go out and start, trying to build this huge coalition. Let's show the folks who showed up that we love them, and let's continue to stay consistent. I do want to push back a little bit on the flip situation. We won a lot of seats last cycle, and Republicans got some of those back. But I do believe in places where we were true to our mission, we won. For instance, the progressives who were in swing seats all won. But the moderates who were in swing seats didn't. And I think part of that is we didn't make our message clear enough. Go with what you know. Go with talking about serving real people. You can do that in moderate districts, and it doesn't have to feel extreme. It just says, I'm here for you and I represent you. That is the foundation of the People's House, the representative form of government. And let's continue to reinforce those.
Matthew Dowd.
Preach.
God damn. I want her to lecture me. I want her to just sit at the front of a classroom and just tell me why I'm an idiot for not being a full-on democratic socialist.
This is what we always say, man. If you got a choice between a Republican and a Republican light, you're gonna go for the real thing. You don't want Diet Coke.
Yeah, exactly. I showed my wife this video of one of the clips, and the first clip she was like, "Wow, who's this?" And then I said, "Just wait, honey." I showed her another video, and she was like, "Okay, send me that clip. Send that clip to me right now," because she wanted to share that joint. And I have one more for you.
I want to push back a little bit on this idea that moderates didn't win. I think that it's pretty easy when you look at the districts, when you're a progressive running in New York City, it's really easy to win elections as a Democrat. It's not so easy in states like mine. And I think that the most important thing that we can do is identify successes, early successes that all Democrats could agree on, whether that is curbing the cost of prescription drugs, which the president tried to take as his own. It's going to be really tricky. But I think for Joe Biden, yes, he needs to have the right rhetoric, but he needs to have victories for working people in this country to establish that base and solidify that base for the next 2 years and hopefully 4 years.
Progressives in swing states won. Progressives who ran on actual issues in swing states won. And so we're not talking about folks in New York. We're talking about people who just flipped these red seats, like Katie Porter, like Mike Levin, seats that we've never had before. They won overwhelmingly. And what I'm saying is that no matter where we are, and I think we agree on this, Heidi, no matter where we are, let's talk to the issues. Let's not run away from them. And I think there was this expectation, because Trump was such a vitriol character, that we could win by just saying Trump is bad. And what I'm saying is serve the people in your district and find out what they need. And we can deliver that. The real fear I have, George, is 2022 is right around the corner. DFA got our first application for a candidate running for U.S. Senate yesterday for 2022. 2024 is around the corner. We're going to need our base.
I'm not sure anybody's ready to hear that.
Love this woman. Love this woman.
I want to say something completely tied to that. That breaks my heart for Charles Booker. That solidifies in my mind that Charles Booker would have put up such a much better fight than Amy McGrath.
Yeah.
Amy McGrath.
That goes back to leadership. That's what I'm saying. That's why, Chuck and Nancy need to take the blame. It's under their watch that they lost seats, and they were not. They put back candidates. Because you look at Maine. Look at Maine. A progressive win Maine 2nd district. Joe Biden carried the state, but their candidate get destroyed by Susan Collins. Susan Collins. We're talking about the second most hated senator in the Senate. And then you go in and then you choose Amy, and then she gets destroyed by Mitch McConnell.
No, I won't. I'm not even going to put the whole blame on Nancy and Chuck, because they did not endorse Charles Booker at all. The progressives of the party ignored Charles Booker until maybe the week before the election. Charles Booker was a nobody, and everyone was pushing Amy McGrath. That's not just on the establishment leadership. That's on everyone for not seeing the potential of Charles Booker.
Who is the leadership? You are asking for the grassroots, as always, do their own work and help other people when the leadership is failing. Whenever the grassroots is trying to do the work, the leadership put roadblocks in them. They rather lose with somebody like Amy McGrath than win with a real progressive, because they don't want the real progressive policies that we have. And as a matter of fact, they will, we talked about this before, about the whole blacklist. They didn't want anybody to go against their handpicked candidates. And if you did, then every organization, posters, media companies that work with you are going to get blacklisted from ever working again from the DCCC. So that's the kind of thing that they do, and that's leadership's fault.
Absolutely. And if you look at it, who did the Amy hire? She hired Bloomberg's folks after. If you look at Chuck Schumer, picked Amy from day one. He got behind her. They gave her all the money that she needed and everything. So at the end of the day, when you look at, you weren't able to flip none of the Senate seats. You got some runoff in Georgia, and you got them there because the youth and the black vote turn out. And then the first thing that you do is go and say, progressive almost costs us the race. The only reason why you have a runoff in Georgia and have a chance at the Senate is because of the youth and the progressive and the black vote. So you have to look at yourself and say, what message do we deliver? And as leadership, if the Democrats, they should just now reward them, and they need to be replaced because they failed. And it's their leadership fault. Yeah. They need to be able to take some accountability.
See, John, you brought up a good point. You brought up a point that these guys, I want to ask this question because I know Charles Booker, he was really for Medicare for All. Like, he was really pushing that hard. And I think that's why he would have gotten a lot of the Republicans that voted for Trump. He would have brought them over to his side. The question is, now in Georgia, we have 2 Senates that's up. How should they run? I did see an article. Nancy said that they should not run on liberal policies, but we have different mindset.
Well, they haven't. The ads that I've seen, I'm here in Georgia, the ads that I've seen, they're not running on Medicare for all at all. Exactly. They talk about platitudes about accessibility to healthcare, but John also specifically, he says that this guy is trying to tar me with a socialism label. I'm not for that. I'm not for Medicare for all. Blah blah blah. So he's this is the kind of thing that we run it. I mean, I still voted for the guy, but come on, man, this is the kind of thing that feels like I gotta wipe my face after they spit in my face, man. Well, come on.
Yeah.
And that's what I always say. It goes back to messaging, right? Like, I think the Democrats, what they should do is they should go in and hire some of those Republicans from Trump because as bad as their message is thick. And the Democrats just want to fight rather than saying, okay, what is the message that we're going to say without spitting in the left face? And they're already come in. And what's going to happen is, we know a lot of those people, the voting turnout may not come out because they may get angry. They may be like, dude, like, I just went out there, I registered myself, I took the chance on COVID, and I voted for these people. And the first thing that they do is spit in my face. Like, why am I going to go do it again? Like, screw them.
Okay, I lied to you guys. I said that was the last video. I have one. This is the last clip, and then we're gonna move on to the next topic. But this one is a goodie. I saved the last one for last.
Can the president-elect reach out to your state, North Dakota, reach out to that broad swath in the middle of the country that has gone deep red?
I'm going to give you a proof point for what Matt's just saying. 65% of the people in North Dakota think climate change is a problem. We're a big fossil state, we're a conservative state, but yet they see climate change as a problem. They get concerned when they see radical ideas being introduced to completely upend the energy system, because that creates angst in their mind, both economically and in terms of cost of energy. There is a place that you can go in solving these problems that speaks to all sides and does not radicalize important issues in this country. We saw that with the pandemic, which was incredible how masks got radicalized and politicized. We need to stop doing that, and we need to come together, and both sides have to address the concerns that the other side has on solutions for this country. The unity that we have is really unity about what the problems are. It's bringing together solutions that can bring everybody together so that we can walk together and solve America's problems.
I think we have to start out by bringing you and Yvette together.
Yeah, well, she just said radical 3 times. You just called the base of the Democratic Party progressives radical. That is not, I mean, that's a Republican talking point. Progressives want everyone to breathe clean air, even people in North and South Dakota. We want everyone to have health care, even people in rural areas and even people in working class white America. We want everyone to have a chance at the American dream. We're not saying leave people out. We're saying bring people in. But if parts of our party, when we bring home the bacon, as we did just yesterday, call us radical like Republicans did, that's not the starting place of a good family conversation.
One level set here.
You need clean lungs so you can smoke that weed you just voted for, man. Come on.
I think going to kind of what I think it was John was saying before is we need messaging, but not just messaging, is we need to run on things that are popular, is really common sense. And maybe that's what we should call ourselves, the common sense Democrats, because if you can see in all the polls, all the exit polls, that Medicare for all is anywhere in the low range, 60% popular, upwards of like 75% popular across both parties, across the electorate. Why not run on that? If you see the $15 minimum wage is popular, run on that. If you see ending the wars is popular, getting money out of politics has almost 90%. So it's like, just, it's not rocket science. Take the policies that have overwhelming support and run on that, and you'd never lose. But the fact is, we said it before, that they'd rather lose than give up this power, because it's very easy to run I'm not them. It's very hard to run on policies and to make promises and to think it through. So it's just what it is.
I'm going to sound a little bit like a broken record, but it's not necessarily an accident. You know, what happens is that if you win too much with a progressive message, you might actually have to do something. You know what I'm saying? And they don't want to.
Yes.
You know, but if they always have some kind of divided government and a minority, they could always run and try to do something good and never have to do it, and just fundraise and win their seats and not ever have to do what we want. You know, so that's why they rather lose than win with progressive message.
Totally.
That's why they rather lose to they rather have Amy go against Mitch, because they could always say, well, Mitch McConnell has 100,000 bills in his desk and he doesn't want to pass anything. So they want to be able to use that. And we talked about this in previous show. 2024, they're going to be like, oh, this one is worse than Trump, so we can't allow them to happen. It's going to be the most important election of your life. And it's going to be the same message. Like, Democrats don't run on policy. Their message was Trump is bad. We already know that. But like, what are you like? I think what the video says, like, you need to know your district. I believe that when you look at it, 70 million people voted for this guy. Like, we know that America, there's a problem in America. And we know that his base, the 38% to 40% is like real and they're not going anywhere. But I don't think it's 70 million people.
Yeah.
I think, the Democrats have to do some self-searching and realize that what message are they going to get to bring people, even Republicans, because there's some Republicans that you talk to and they're like, yeah, we agree with you guys, but the Democrats don't talk to us.
In any serious strategic endeavor that you're doing, whether it's in the military, they do after action reports. If you're in project management like I'm in, we do retrospectives at the end of every period. If you're in sports, that after the game, you're going to go and watch tape. And it just seems that Democrats aren't capable of just looking at the most basic things and taking a step back from themselves and saying, okay, we really are serious about winning. Let's look at everywhere we could improve. And even if you do well, in this case, they won the presidency. I think it was by a hair, but build on that win and see, okay, we messed up here, let's try this next time. But Democrats, they just know one strategy, just repeat it over and over, just try to radical centrism, run to the right, try to attract Republicans, and it fails every time. And they just keep doing it over and over. And the definition of insanity is doing things over and over and expecting different results.
It's the donors. It's by design, man.
Yeah, so let's wrap up this segment. Basically, again, I want to give a shout out to Yvette Simpson, my new favorite person. I saw a lot of people. She got a lot of love from those videos, and A lot of people saying they're gonna start following her, and I hope she gets her own show. That would be a miracle, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think it's White Simpson Power on Twitter.
Yes, so definitely shout out to her. All right, let's move on to the next.
I'm not gonna forget that name. That's one thing, Yvette Simpson. And so if we're moving to the next segment, I just want to say, everybody, to those watching right now, like, subscribe. The like doesn't cost you anything. We're not asking for money. That like will help this message and this content get out to everybody because it'll help in the algorithm. So if you can, smash the like button, subscribe, and we'll keep bringing you this show every single Monday at 8:30.
And let us know what you think about those videos in the comments below. All right, the next topic we're going to talk about right now is this a future cold take? I'm about to show a video, and I'm not going to say anything just yet. I'm just going to play it. Right.
A lot of things to do. I don't think, obviously, particularly if there is a Republican Senate, I don't think you'll see him slashing the $700 billion budget. I think he'll go somewhat slowly in places like Afghanistan, where the president suggested all the troops should be out of there. Biden's no fan of leaving troops in there forever, and I think he wanted them out over the years, but I think things like that he will do methodically. But mostly, and I do want to talk about that.
Yeah, that's
got a lot of things to do.
So basically, so that's it. At the end of that, she said Biden, he doesn't want to keep troops in there forever. Now, come on, we know he's more to the right of Obama, and even Obama used to just put the troops up, levels up, and then put it down a little bit, and then he put it right back up, and then bring it back down. We're never getting out of Afghanistan. What you guys
That's the
think?
one thing that Democrats and Republicans can always agree on is more war. If there's a good war out there to be had, they're going to be the first ones all to agree to sign off. Who don't even give it to the Congress. Just go and do executive power, call them terrorists. If you call them terrorists, then you don't even need to have Congress declare war. You can just go and use the authorization of force for after 9/11. They can just use that and just go to any country they feel like it. It's a shame. It's a shame whenever you see Democrats and establishment Democrats and Republicans coming together, be wary because it's corporate tax cuts. Obama had tremendous tax cuts when he was in office. He made the Bush tax cuts permanent, and then Trump doubled down on those tax cuts. So you see, when Democrats and Republicans can agree on stuff, it's usually pretty bad stuff. There have been multiple times where we've been very close to Social Security being cut, and it's because that's those times where Democrats, establishment Democrats, and Republicans come together, and then it always ends up screwing the American people.
Totally agree with you. Anybody else have anything else to say before I move on?
It's about the money, Lebowski. It's the money, Lebowski.
It's the money,
you got all these military contractors get money from. Trump promised that he was going to get the troops out. Did he? No. He's actually selling more arms. He's bragging about the money that he's making for companies by doing arms deals. So yeah, it's the money.
Yep, with Saudi Arabia, exactly. John?
Yeah, I thought Felipe was gonna defend his boy Biden. I was waiting for it.
What's the defense? I mean, I think Joe Biden's a little bit further left than Obama just because of where we are right now, and the people who voted him in are just a little bit more left than Obama.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's much. I mean, Biden openly campaigned on a $15 minimum wage. What's it called? Raising corporate taxes, a floor tax. An environmental policy and the public option, all of which are more progressive than everything Obama ran on. So I don't think it's quite fair, but it's indefensible. It's just words.
The thing is, we don't know how serious. We're going to find out how serious he was about those very things because, like I just said earlier, with in Florida, he didn't really run. And you're in Florida, Gabe's in Florida. How many times did you see him mention $15 an hour or any ads mentioning $15 an hour?
No.
None.
Yeah, he has it on his website. That's about it, man.
He mentioned it, I think, once in the debates, and I was like, oh, wow. Yeah. I was like, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So,
all right, we're going to move on to the next topic. Well, basically from here, and let me also like and subscribe if you think that this is going to be a cold take or maybe Joe Biden might actually pull the troops out of Afghanistan. Let us know in the comments below. All right. So
can we throw audible? I want to run an audible in the middle of the game.
Go ahead.
So that switch it up. I
ahead.
wanted to ask everybody.
For someone that doesn't watch football, you do have a lot of football.
Got him. No, we don't watch racist ball here. Anyway, but aside from that, the question I wanted to throw to everybody on the panel is, how did you feel? Describe the feelings that you had when you were watching the speech on Saturday night. I'm assuming everyone watched it. I'm interested to hear, and then I want to share mine as well. So go ahead. Start with John.
Why do you have to start with me, man? start with
Felipe.
I'm gonna be the exact opposite of John right now. I'm gonna be completely honest. Like, I fucking cried, not because of Joe Biden. Not because of Joe Biden. Not because of anything. But hear me out. After 4 years of Trump, I think it actually genuinely hit me seeing when Joe Biden was talking on stage and accepting the nomination, accepting the results of the election. It hit me that I can be somewhat proud of our country again. Like, I am an American immigrant. I moved here from Colombia, and sure, Joe Biden isn't the ideal candidate that anyone 100% wanted, but you can say from the bottom of your heart that he is a genuine person. He is someone who won't lie to the American people so blatantly and so just two-faced about every single thing. We don't have to worry that he's off playing golf while Americans are dying of coronavirus. We don't have to worry that he said this or he called the country shithole countries. That's all gone. And it hit me in that moment, seeing Joe Biden with his family, hugging his family, looking at the fireworks, that we can be a country that's not a laughingstock anymore. And just in that moment, I was just kind of overwhelmed. And I don't think, yes, there's a lot of work to do. And yes, we really are going to have to fight Joe Biden on so many things. But just for 1 minute, it all just hit me that Donald Trump is getting evicted. Donald Trump lost his job. Donald Trump got the full coronavirus experience.
I could relate to that feeling when I was your age. As a grizzled veteran, the first election I voted in was the election of what was it?
It's okay, bro. You don't have to convince me that you're old.
2008,
84 years ago.
No, the first election I think was the one where we lost to Bush, and it was depressing. And it was so to see that, and then once Obama came in, and that what you described there are the feelings that I felt in 2008, when after losing in my first vote, my second vote was so overwhelming to see Obama, to see him with his family, the first Black president, and it was just, I felt those same feelings you described in 2008, and because of that, I was extra wary not to feel those feelings this time. I was watching, and it's a beautiful thing. You're watching the first Black woman vice president, the first Asian woman vice president.
Yeah.
It's like you should in that moment have so much hope and so much pride. And I'm just like, I've seen this show before. I saw it with Obama, and it's like I have to look past the identity politics, the things like that, and just it all comes down to policy. I want to give them the benefit of the doubt, and we're going to push them, and we're going to hope that they do well. But again, I don't really have high hopes that they're going to do anything necessarily progressive. And because of that, I was watching I was kind of just like dead watching it. I was just like, it's good we got Trump out and we avoided fascism. Good job. Check. We barely did it. We only squeaked over the finish line, and it took us a week to count the votes. But now that that's done, we have to govern. And if we don't get the Senate in January, it's going to be 4 years of nothing. If we're able to flip those two seats in Georgia and get the Senate, maybe there is a hope for something, and maybe we can push for something. But if we don't get those 2 seats, we could kiss everything goodbye. That's not an executive order.
Yeah. I probably cried just because I was depressed, not because I had joy like Felipe. Everybody knows. Everybody was happy because Trump was out, but again, 70 million people voted. My thought process was like, we are screwed. like this guy's, and yeah, we got away with fascism, but we still kept racism. So at the end of the day, we know what we got. And like I always all the time, I always tell people all the time, like Trump is going to be that guy that will tell you in your face, and you know exactly how he feels about you. Biden is going to be that guy that's going to smile in your face, and then as soon as you turn around, he's going to say everything that you don't want to hear. So, I mean,
I thought you were going to say, wait, I thought you were going to say as soon as he turns around, he's going to forget it.
No. I mean, I'm not going to make fun of his stage, but what I'm saying is, hopefully, I'm going to say, hopefully there's a miracle and he does do something, but I already see. I told you guys before in this show, I already see it. They're going to lose the 2 seats in Georgia, and they're just going to blame Mitch McConnell for everything. And then in 2022, they're going to get Slatter in the House. They're going to lose because they're going to keep Nancy as the Speaker of the House, and they're going to lose a lot of people. And then they're just going to blame the Republican into 2024.
And I hope your predictions are as good as your Texas prediction.
I hope so too.
Or my Florida prediction. Terrible.
Before I let Carlito go, I want to show, to John's point, this clip that got 2.2 million views.
A commentator on CNN said, maybe you could finally get back to normal. And when I hear things like maybe we could finally get back to normal, I think, what was your normal? What was normal for you? Because when Barack Obama was the president, I was marching for Trayvon Martin and Eric Garner, fresh out of college. So it's like, what was your normal? It was never okay. We had people calling the first lady a monkey. Is that the normal we're talking about? Is that what we're going back to? I'm confused. I don't understand.
It's someone that you don't know is wearing black.
It's sad that everyone just kind of feels like we reached a point where we're like done. Like he's out of office. The work is done. And it's just so many people out here who the work was never finished. It was never done. We still in the streets. Commentator on.
Yeah, that's to John's point. Yeah, that was a powerful moment. Ilhan Omar, I saw she retweeted that one, and yeah, you're absolutely right. Carlito, let's wrap this up.
Yeah, man. On behalf of us millennials, Felipe, this old man don't know what they're talking about, man. They don't understand how you could be happy about small things. We know was that Biden is an obstacle to real progressive agenda, but you could still be happy that we got rid of a fascist. I mean, you could enjoy it for a day. Whatever. I had my little beer. I was chilling. It was good. And then the next day, I'm like, all right, let's go. Right now, I'm thinking about Georgia.
Did you cry?
I mean, I didn't go that far.
Yeah.
I'm only a millennial in spirit.
That's right.
For me, I did.
Well, when I saw Kamala Harris, man, I was just disappointed, man, because I thought she was going to throw a little skiwi up in there or something, man.
Oh, yeah, right?
Yeah.
So for me, I didn't even watch it, to be honest with you. I didn't watch it. I didn't even have interest in watching any of the festivities. I just wanted to know if Trump was in or out, right? And when, I felt like I didn't want to get my hopes up because, they always have the speech writers that do write very good speeches, but I know how to read through the platitudes, and when I hear the platitudes, it's just a huge turnoff. I want to see action. I want us, as a progressive movement, to now organize, strategize, and let's get this thing going. That's where I'm at right now.
See, I understand that. I really do. But I genuinely think you missed out on the beauty of the moment of just seeing people dancing at a cheer.
Wrap it up.
Dancing, people dancing, playing instruments, marching out of sheer happiness.
You didn't miss
something that you don't
Trump
see.
was really bad. Trump was really bad. It's okay to be happy for one day, man. It's okay.
But he didn't miss what Felipe is trying to make it like, oh my God, you missed this beautiful moment.
It was good. I enjoy watching the video. I mean, I wasn't out there because I'm a little more, cynical about it. But I enjoy watching the people, beating on pots and pans in the streets or whatever. I mean, hey, let them enjoy it.
Yeah. But I don't think he missed anything.
All right, we're going to move on to the next topic. And let us know in the comments below what you think about the speech, about Kamala's speech. I heard he had the one moment that my wife told me about when I got home from work. She said that he said that the black voters got me elected, and I see you, and I'm going to take care of you. He said something like that. So that's what I'm saying. I want to see.
He said they've always had his back, and he's gonna have their back. So
let's see.
He said, I'm gonna take care of you like Obama did.
Like or like I did with the crime bill. You know, I don't want that type of taken care of. All right. So let us know, like and subscribe. Okay, so the next segment until we end in 15 minutes, I just going to do a lightning round. I'm just going to keep throwing stuff at you. And the first thing that I'm going to throw at you, bam, this is a ranked choice ballot from Maine. And read it and weep, because I know I'm weeping inside. I wish I could have used ranked choice voting. And you can see it here. It had Joe Biden. It had this other guy, Rocky De La Fonte, Howie Hawkins, Joe the Libertarian, Donald Trump. And you could pick your choices: first, second, third, fourth, fifth choice, who you would want. And then here the U.S. Senator seat. You know, I would have chose Lisa Savage first, and then the Democrat Sarah Gideon second. And I wouldn't even put anything for the Republican or the Independent, because they're not my politics type of person. But yeah, what you guys think?
Love it.
Yeah, no, it's sick. That's the only word.
Love it. All right, next one.
That's a dream.
Ryan, and let me get this. I want to get your reactions here. Bam. Okay. So Ryan Grimm, this is something that we talked about earlier. He tweeted, Amy McGrath, who raised upward of $100 million, did about 2 points better than Maquita Bradshaw did in Tennessee on a shoestring budget. And mute or block the account of any grifter who told you to give your money to Amy McGrath, or don't. It's your money. Do what you want. Okay. So yeah, that's a very interesting tweet that he just go ahead.
That's how bad she is. Yeah. And I think we have one of the viewers from Kentucky. He said, I'm from Kentucky and no one was in for McGrath. State Democrats were all for Booker. And the only ones for McGrath was Chuck Schumer. Wow. So that's from the Kentucky, but it's true. Like, she was really bad.
Wow.
You got to get money out of politics.
Yep,
that's just that's the number one issue. Like Carlitos always says, we got to get money out of politics. It's a preposterous thing that you have to put that much money into this race.
That's not even fair to say, because a lot of her donations were from people around the country saying, F you, Mitch. It wasn't we want Amy. It's we hate Mitch McConnell. So we wish death upon Mitch McConnell money.
And she burnt it.
But she was just such a boring candidate.
I mean, she had a lot of corporate money. She had a lot of big money. She had a lot of big money too.
If I ever write a book on how to be a bad politician, I would use Amy McGrath and Elizabeth Warren. That's my two.
Yo, you guys remember the cartoon? Remember that cartoon that she had of against Mitch McConnell?
Oh my God!
So bad.
There's a cartoon.
So cringy, bro.
She had an ad of cartoon, and she was blaming Mitch for not doing what Trump wants.
Yeah.
So cringy.
I wish I could find it for you real quick, but I'm gonna move on. If I do come across that, I'm gonna bring it up. But let's move on. Here's another tweet. This is a guy connected to Bernie Sanders. Let me see. He was the staff director for Bernie Sanders in the budget committee, and he just wrapped up this election basically by saying 72% want a government-run healthcare plan. That was a exit poll done by Fox News. Florida voted for a $15 minimum wage. South Dakota, Arizona, and New Jersey voted to legalize weed. Colorado voted for 12 weeks of paid family and medical leave. It turns out a progressive agenda is what American people want. And they keep blaming socialism. Pathetic. I mean, like that.
I blame socialism. I don't blame progressivism. But it is what it is.
The policy, I think, Gabe, we can all agree. I'm not going to go back into the argument, but I think even... like Gabe said, the policy, if you just run on the policy, and I think even AOC would say, let's run on the policy and you could get a lot accomplished.
Campaign should be policy driven. There's no doubt about it.
Yes.
And I believe in some other countries like Canada, you vote for the party, and then depending on how many votes they get, they're the ones who pick who goes into power. Instead of this like voting for individuals, who cares about the individual? Who cares? It's all about the policy. I was talking with my wife about that the other day, and she was saying, as somebody who doesn't follow politics, you know, as much as I do and as much as we do here, she was just like, why aren't we voting for policies? Why aren't the policies front and center, and people can just look at it without seeing a D or R next to it, and you eliminate you eliminate the bias and the team playing that we have going on right now, and the rabid fan bases. Instead, you just let's just put the policies front and center and vote on that.
Yeah, totally. So this is going to be, this next lightning round is going to be my weekly dig at Obama. So this one is dedicated to Felipe. Let me show it.
And look, that's going to be a very difficult needle for the Biden transition team to thread. Should it come to that? Should it come to them announcing policy proposals when it comes to announcing a cabinet? It is traditional for a president to have somebody from the other party in the cabinet in the name of healing. George W. Bush did it with Norm Mineta. Barack Obama did it with several people, including Chuck Hagel.
Yeah, that's basically, I don't even have to show the rest of it, but you guys caught my dig, right? With several, and I put in that same tweet. When I tweeted it out, I said, "Of course he did. Of course he had several people in his cabinet from the previous administration."
They've already floated that they're gonna have Republicans in the candidate, and they're also gonna not let either Bernie or Elizabeth Warren be in it because they need to stay in their Senate seats. So that just shows you how much they value the progressive.
Nah. They gotta big brain it and just pick senators from swing states, like Republican senators from swing states, and steal the Senate.
That's actually not a bad idea.
boot them out of the boot them out of the cabinet, and then just confirm whoever you want when you have a majority.
Actually,
it's like a redo on all the Senate seats that we lost. Just pull the senator.
I would actually be interested if he does do something like that. We'll see what happens.
And mention that stupid. He gonna let it
But Mitch McConnell for cabinet for Secretary of the asshole.
I wouldn't be surprised though if you see John Kasich in there because he got Joe Biden to win Ohio. But wait, no, he never won Ohio.
And he got Kasich to go in there and blame the left. So yeah, I'm sure he'll get one.
All right, so this next. Go ahead.
Before you move on, can I just throw out, can we talk about how big of a loser Martha McSally is? She lost twice. Big time. She's such a loser. And I just wanted to say it on live for everyone watching.
So are you saying she should change party and become a Democrat?
I'm saying she needs to realize that the people of Arizona really, really don't like her.
Yeah, totally. All right, we're moving on. Let's put on this video of this shenanigans, and this got 158 views.
Oh, I think it's important. I actually think Bernie and I don't agree, come from the same wing of the party. I think Elizabeth Warren deserve a tremendous amount of credit. Unlike in 2016, they were very focused on a singular goal, winning. Our differences, we'll deal with that later, etc. And now Bernie and I and Elizabeth and I do get along, but forget that. They were incredibly pragmatic, where in 2016, Bernie did not do that for Hillary. And that's a statement. They understood we will work out progressive policy after we win. The election is the key.
Sarah Fagan,
lies.
Dude,
the lies.
Yo. That's the problem that I have with people like that, man. Like, nobody out there campaign, not even Obama, not even Michelle, not even her husband,
not even Hillary herself.
No one.
Hillary herself.
No one campaign more than Bernie for her. That's what I'm saying. They still want to blame Bernie. And I guarantee you that if they would have lost in 2020, they would have blamed Bernie again, and they were going to blame the Latino vote. They already had that in the back pocket.
I'm blaming Cubans anyways, but that's a different story.
Yeah, but that's some petty loser crap. Because Bernie, like John was saying, he was all out there, and then even because she lost, then she still was throwing shade at Bernie all the time when she made her little Netflix special, whatever it was.
Yep.
She was talking crap about him. I was like, man, you just can't please some people, man.
Yeah. Sad.
Hillary, she got a worse cut than she really deserved, but God, she's just so unlikable sometimes. It's the propaganda machine that has spun against her for so many years. But
see, that's
every
that
time I hear about her
bipartisanship.
on the news,
This is bipartisanship. Everybody hates Bernie.
Yeah.
And guess what? And I guarantee you, this dude will get a cabinet position in Biden.
Oh no. I hope Rahm Emanuel back in the cabinet. Oh my gosh, please.
No.
I hope we. As a matter of fact, I heard AOC. John, hold on one second. I heard AOC like specifically called that out. Was like, no, I do not. We do not want to see Rahm in the cabinet. Go ahead, John.
Dude, I just hope all my predictions are wrong.
Yeah, me too.
All right, we're gonna move on. I wanted to show there was some good response in the comments of that one, but I couldn't find it. But anyway, let's move on to the next one. This is we're about to wrap it up. We got 5 minutes left. I want to show you guys this shenanigans right here.
Oh no, not this one.
I didn't know he was Omega Sci-Fi. That's interesting.
They should take his letter away.
Let me say this. There ain't nobody in the Democratic Party of the United States of America that's more progressive than Jim Clyburn. Nobody. I met my late wife in jail protesting the status quo. John Lewis and I, you would not call John not progressive. But John would never yell, burn, baby, burn. John would never say defund the police. As progressive as he was. And I'm just as progressive as anybody else. But I'm practical about politics. And just because it works in my district, doesn't mean I'm a label or cause my friends to have to adhere to it in their district.
That's like the opposite. That's the opposite of what he does.
Yeah, if this wasn't the lightning round, I would have called this segment Jim Clyburn needs a dictionary, because he does not know what the word progressive means at all.
I think when we were talking before the show, I think John was saying that somebody was saying that the word progressive has been ruined because everyone uses it now and everybody's a progressive, and because of that they're watering it down and they're taking it away from us, and it's a shame.
It's a total shame. It was him. We had a clip before with him saying he's a progressive, and this is just an ongoing thing or theme where people want to jump in and out of they're progressive, but no, they're pragmatists. No, they're progressive. No, they're playing hopscotch or skip rope or something. It's crazy.
I know. Felipe always said that Biden is the most progressive candidate in history.
Go ahead.
The most progressive. Yeah, no, I stand by it. Technically, by all technicality. Yeah.
I mean, that should tell you something. That should tell you how whack the candidates we've had.
Yeah, no, I agree with that too. I'm just saying, out of the people who have ran, Democratic nominees specifically, Joe Biden has been the most progressive candidate. Not saying it's more of a negative on every other candidate than it is a positive on Joe Biden, but it stands true.
I'm trying to find this clip real quick to be the last clip, but basically it's Rahm Emanuel saying that very thing, that Joe Biden is. Oh, here it is. I found it. All right, let me bring it over.
Unifying the Democratic Party while reaching out to Republicans.
Yes and no. I actually think if you go back to the campaign, he did actually a very, very good job of keeping everybody inside. And actually, the truth is the progressive wing of the party was less ideological and more pragmatic, that we had an overarching goal. I also think, let me draw back, Joe Biden's a progressive. He said it. But there's a lesson to be learned that Jeremy Corbyn lost in England and Joe Biden won here in the United States. That you can make the first step in progressive politics being enacted is winning an election. You can.
Right. That's enough. That's enough lies. That's it.
Yeah. Someone in the comments said the most progressive Republican.
Rahm Emanuel. I mean, he's. I mean, if it wasn't for Mitch McConnell, he'd probably be my most hated politician out there. Because he was chief of staff for Obama. He was just the worst. All he did was just punch progressives. That's all he did. To him, that's the thing I talk about bipartisanship. He wanted to work with Republican. Whenever they wanted anything done, is force the left to bend. They never asked the Republicans to come over towards our side. It's just hey, we got to make this deal with Republicans. You guys on the left, bow down. That's all he did his entire career. He sucked. I mean, I can't stand him. And he sucked in Chicago, covering for cops too.
Totally. There's a famous story that he called progressives effing R-word, retards basically, but and it is ridiculous the disdain that he has for progressives. And then here it is, 15 or so years later, and he's calling Joe Biden, who we all know is a moderate. Like, we all know this. He might have shifted on, gay marriage, but we know who he is at his core, and he's saying he's a progressive. That's how we know the word has been watered down.
Here's how we also know their message sucks, right? Because Republicans call Biden a socialist, and they believe it. The Democrats call Biden a progressive, and we know they're full of it. So we ain't buying that. We're not buying that because we know the truth.
So that's the lightning round. Anybody has any last words to wrap this up?
Listen, you could be happy for a day. All right, it's cool. All right, it's okay. We just got to get back to work. My favorite, meme from this after Biden won. It was, you remember the dog in the burning house? And he's like, it's fine. The first one is fine. The second one is the same thing, but he had a sticker that said, I voted. But everything was still on fire. So I'm with you. Everything, we got a lot to do. But hey, at least we got the fascists out. I mean, he's not out. We got stuff to do there. But I mean, come on, man. We can't always be just horrible, feeling bad inside.
We're not Izzy.
Yeah, man, we just shout out to Izzy.
Izzy in the chat room. Shout out to He can't even defend himself.
Man. Oh, next time he's on, he will get it.
Much love to the people in the chat. I want to give you all a shout out. Thank you you could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us, the Political Junkies, and you're our Political Junkies right along with us, and Political Junkies going to save the world. All right, we're going to say adios, Carlito, John, Gabe, Felipe, and we are the Political Junkies, and we are out of here. Much love, and organize, strategize. We going to get this guy Biden.
See you next week. Like and subscribe.
Bye, Izzy. Love you.
8:30 p.m. Monday.